Wonderful. You have gotten now through week 0 and now the first item on week 1. And so by this time, you are now ready to start on setting up your dev environment. Just know going in that you need to have submitted and accepted the invite. So submitted your GitHub username and accepted the invite that I invited you into our GitHub organization. So timing is key, right? So if you start to do this assignment, but you haven't accepted that invite, that just stop there and make sure you have. And I'll show you in the assignment how you can make sure. Okay. So just know that once you do that, I invite you. And because this is the first day of this course, timing will be critical. Okay, so notice too that you see the checks starting to appear, which is the idea of you're moving through this sequentially. This week hasn't been complete. You've completed this item by hitting a reply, which by the way, that you still have to do replies inside of here. So that check will show up even if you didn't do all of the replies required. So make sure you check that out. So now you're ready to move on to setting up your dev environment. So in this case, I'm going to make a suggestion to everyone, even those who may come in with some experience already. Okay. So for our course, there are two choices, and I talked about this in the week 1 attendance as far as well, really where you set up your development environment. Okay. Both of you will do this step. And by the way, all this is links. Okay, so notice it moves you to what may appear like a different item. But if you scroll up, you actually see this is at the top. And as you click into these, then it just moves you into different parts of the page. And then it also has return to the top. And the reason I organize it this way is that, and you'll see this when you take other courses of mine, is that sometimes students may choose local, sometimes they choose code space. So one local means is that it's only on your system. You have to install VS Code, which is an editor, and Git locally. You have to clone, and then you configure, and then you learn the Git workflow. So you can see just by the number of steps, there's a few more steps. So for students taking 82, I recommend going right to code space. So you choose in this case, which one are you going to do? I'm going to suggest, even if you have experience, because I want everyone to see the code space, because it's basically what you're doing here can be done in a code space out on GitHub site. And then it can quickly, rather than you possibly jump through some of the challenges here. Now, by the way, we're going to end up doing this work in week 3. And that's why I recommend starting with code space here. Okay, so just to be clear, no matter which one you choose, you have to do this first step. And when I click into here, you have to accept that invite. And I provide a link here so that when you click on it, it opens this up. And if you've been invited, you will actually see accept the invite if you didn't happen to see it in your email. Okay. And then this video will walk you through creating 2 repos, and be very careful when you do this that I do require a specific setup as far as the syntax. So name, your first name, first character of your last name, dash private and dash public. Okay. And the reason is that then you start to understand when you're in one versus the other. So you'll end up creating 2 of these. And here I show you how to add a really important file that you'll learn about later called your git ignore, which is just something you have to do for VS Code. Okay, so everybody needs to do this step. Okay, no matter which of these 2 you choose, and everybody needs to do how to submit the work. So now what you do from here is again what you choose, but I'm recommending you go right to creating your code space. So you're going to watch that. Now I'm going to show you what's going to end up getting created. Okay, so once you create your code space, right, and you'll end up needing, by the way, for code space, you'll need a code space for your public and for your private. But for this one, you only really need to set up one for your private repo. Okay. Now I've done this. So I call mine demo just so it's different, right? But it would be for you, right? And in this case, if you can tell it's private because it has a little lock on it. You can tell it's in the right place because it's in CIT 82. So if for some reason you're setting up repos and you don't see this, and you don't see your first name the first letter of your last name dash PRI, then you didn't name it right. Okay, so before you do anything else, you can actually go into settings if you messed up the name, but the important thing is to be in the right location. Okay. So the other thing you will do, and I've already done this, is I've gone in and I've created a code space. And now again, watch the video because it helps you step through that. And then this is my code space. So if you happen to be doing local, let me just scroll back up, right? All of these steps have actually been done for you as I move back to my code space. And this is available to you. And this is one of the benefits of choosing code space no matter where you're at, right? So as long as you have a web browser and you can get into GitHub, you can have access to this. And for some folks, this actually makes a lot more sense because of their particular where they're working and when they're working. But if you have mostly working at home, again, we're going to do it in week 3, but I recommend starting here, even if you think you want to do local. Now, one of the things that will not be true when you watch this particular video about setting up is since I've done this, because this is probably about a year since I've done this content, GitHub now interjects all this AI apps, and I recommend turning them off, okay, for now. So what I do here is I come over here and I recommend you do the same as click show view by default. And again, this is once you get in. You haven't done it yet. I'm just showing you, and then click X to get off. For one thing, it just makes my screen more busy. And then down here on the terminal, because by default, CodeSpace will set up the terminal as I say, don't show here. So just reflect back when you actually get this set up, okay? So I'm just giving you a little preview of what you're going to see, all right? And so in this case, the other thing I want to show you is something I immediately do is I go into my color, right? And then I choose a darker, for me, you get to choose whichever color schematic you want or color theme you like, okay? All right, so this is just a little preview of what you're about to do here, and then you will learn the Git workflow. Okay, so I will have you download a file. Matter of fact, if I come down here, now this is all local. So now if I scroll past local, and it'll show you if you're doing local, you're doing this step, I will have you end up, and now we're into code space, right? And I talk about, and that's the one thing about code space, there is some summary, there's some usage. To where you can upgrade this, but you get 120 hours. I've had very few students need more than that, right? But you can learn more about CodeSpace, and then I show you how, once you create your repo, how to actually create your CodeSpace. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. But you will also learn this Git workflow, okay? So no matter which one you're doing, no matter meaning a local or CodeSpace, you will do this, okay? So again, you get to decide, but I'm making a recommendation. So the last thing you're going to do is to actually submit this item. And I talk about this here, right? Is that what you would do? And I'm going to show you here. Once you're completely done, I'm going to go back to my code space here, right? Or sorry, not my code space. Code space is here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and stop my code space. And the reason I'm doing that is because of the idea of the hours, right? So again, we're just giving you a little bit of overview here. So this is stopping, so I'd go back here. So what you would do here is when you're ready, when you're completely done and you're like, oh, what do I need to do? I have to submit this assignment. So, and this is something you'll see throughout this course, okay? So to submit the assignment, what you want to give me is your commit history URL. Okay. Now, this may be the first time you've heard this term, but let me just show it to you. So in here, in again, my demo, right? I would then go over to, in this case, see this little icon? It looks like a time and it says commits. Now, by this time, you're actually going to have an additional commit because it will be for the Git help. But this, if you copy this URL up here, right? And you'll see throughout the course why I have you do this. Mostly is for you to see your commits, because a large part of how I grade many of the items in this class is that you have commits. So I want you to see before you submit it if you have done those commits. So then once you have this, you would paste this here, okay? And then you would submit the assignment. Okay, so what I did in this video is I gave you an overview, right? I made a suggestion, right? I gave you an overview. I made a suggestion to use CodeSpace, even if you have experience, because we're going to all do local in week 3, because that is just part of learning how to do web development. And then everybody has to do this step, and then everybody has to submit no matter where you're at. So make sure you've read through, you have that experience. You'll get your first experience with doing the get workflow, and then we'll get another exercise. And I say get, in this case, is GET, not GIT. Okay. All right. So I hope this helps you out. So work through this. Please reach out for help if you need it.